Okay. So, Scav. If you were not already thinking that Dustnoir was the big bad evil guy, I hate to break it to you, but it was pretty obvious from, like, the moment we talked to him and he knew about the dimensional scream and did a smile with his eyeball. That was about the moment that it should have been pretty clear. But I also wanted to bring up another thing. Let's take him at his word, and we agree that yes, Grovyle is trying to steal all the time gears. What does he gain from stopping the entire world? Because if he's a criminal and is wanted in the future, yeah, he did a smile with his eyeball. What do you want? That's the only thing that he has that can smile. Let's say Grovyle was a wanted criminal in the future. If he came to the past and stole all the time gears and made the planet freeze, then he would be frozen too, so he gains literally nothing. It's pretty obvious that something's a little fishy here. I know that logic is a little highbrow for a children's game like this. But, you know, considering how many people have said that this game is great and that the story is actually kind of good, there's no way, absolutely no way in hell that that's the actual plan and that's the actual story. I also know about one scene later in the game. I don't know its context and I don't know how it plays out. I just know, like, one major scene from later in the game that, you know, gets art made of it all the time. So I know for a fact that Grovyle is probably not the big bad evil guy, but that's like the only thing I came into this game knowing, was that one scene that literally I think everybody knows. Kind of curious. 1 star? Half a star? Yeah, my IQ levels are very low. I should be eating more gummies, huh? I wonder if there's like a chart. Like, is there a different gummy that, like, electric types like, but don't love? Is it that kind of system? I don't know. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky IQ Gummy Color Chart? Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a big chart. Let me show this on stream real quick. Stronger a gummy's type versus the eater, the more IQ earned. Unless the gummy shares a type which is best, 2-type Pokemon take the larger boost of their individual types. Okay. There's just this big chart. So maybe I should just spend a little time doing this. Gummies are good for the type your Pokemon is, and the type they're weak against. Oh. Huh. That's neat. Yeah, huh. That's pretty cool. Which is why Steel has all of these crap matchups. That's really funny. Okay, that's actually a really useful way to remember that. That helps a lot. Where would you like to go? Mount Horn. Horny Mountain. Ooh. Nifty. Riolu's coming up. Ooh, nifty. I promise I will, actually, that's not true. I will keep making that joke. Another new move. Is it gonna be bad? Ooh, Psybeam. That is... Okay, so it's a distance move. 4 and 5 versus... Ooh, the hit ratio is bad. Very bad. I'd honestly rather just keep Confusion. I really don't want to be missing that often. Have I solved the dungeon's mystery yet? No, in fact, we have more questions than answers at this point. We did find out that Grovyle and Dustnoir are from the future. So there's that. Ooh. Oh, that's right, you can clean grimy food. I don't have any on me, though. That's sad. I will, as always, buy a mystery box, though. Oh, my treasure bag is full. I kind of care about most of this. Nah, it's fine. I don't need a mystery box. I'll see you later, Swalot. Now let's just...
You really clocked me there. You know I'm bleeding?
Oh.
Ow, ow, ow.
Dory, are you okay? That's good.
Alright, you know what? You can have it. Good job. It's literally right there. Of course. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting capitalism. Thunderbolts. Yeah, fine. You're gonna be my mouse. Minus mouse. And your friend, whenever they join. Because I'm sure it'll eventually happen, it's gonna be plus house if I... Controller? Controller? Okay. Are you still awake? I would like to not be. You have to admit that today was full of surprises. The great Dustnors talk about coming from the future. That was mind-boggling. Dustnor pursued... I really just can't talk today. Dustnor pursued Grovile from the future to our world. He came to apprehend that wicked Grovile, and to take him back to the future. That's why the job of capturing Grovile is his responsibility. We have to trust him about this. No, we really don't. To be honest, I would like to capture Grovile ourselves, but I'm not up to the task yet. We didn't have any choice but to depend on Dustnor after all. Xoren? I guess you're asleep. I bet I get to sleep too. It'd be great if Grovile gets caught soon. Good night. I imagine given your line of study, you have some strong opinions about the possibility, impossibility, and implications of time travel. Well, I could talk a lot about that, but let me read these lines first. I have to practice. Just kidding. Ahem, so here's where it stands. We have not yet received word of Grovile's capture. Are Messbeard and his friends alright? We don't know that either. We've received no information at all. We're in the dark. That said, we can't go off on our own and spoil the trap. We'll have to stand down until we receive word of some sort. Until then, we should carry on with our usual work. So everyone, let's get back to work today. Hooray! Ah, you two. Today, do what you normally do. That'll do. You don't have to tell me every time. Okay, so time travel, right? You're definitely right, I have some strong opinions on it, but I am a firm believer that it's not possible. Because of it would be very, very bad if it was, is basically it. There's so much that would go wrong. If time travel were possible, in the backwards direction that is, because it's very possible in the forwards direction, obviously. If we were able to go backwards in time, that would be a huge mess. Because you would be able to interact with things and change the future in ways that would very, very much affect how you developed as a person and or were born in the first place. That being said, if it were to be possible, there are ways it could be. And my personal take is if it is or would be possible, that what's actually happening is you're traveling... When you travel back in time, you effectively create a branched timeline at the point you arrive, thus forming a different universe that you are now a part of. So anything you affect in the past will still affect your future, but it's not the future you came from. So you jump back into a different timeline, and then if you were to just stay there until the time that you would have been born, it doesn't matter that you weren't born, because you're just in a different timeline. You're not from that affected timeline. So your normal timeline continues as it would, just without you. And you have now jumped to a different one that you can affect in any way you want, but has no bearing on the one you came from. So would you blip out of existence in your home timeline? Would you disappear one day and never come back? Yes, that's if what I believe about time travel. Again, don't believe it's actually possible, but if it was, that's the most elegant solution to me. It's just that you were now completely separated from your original timeline and have now jumped onto a side timeline, which would also solve a lot of the problems of, like, you going back in time and meeting yourself, but you have never met yourself in your lifetime, which is a paradox, right? So if I go back 2 days in the past, I never saw myself 2 days ago, but now my past self has seen me back then, which is a paradox because I never saw myself 2 days ago, but 2 days ago I saw myself. If you jumped back and made a branch, now it's totally fine that you saw yourself 2 days ago because it's not the same you, it's a different you. That you did in fact see yourself 2 days ago. But you didn't, because you came from a timeline where that didn't happen. It's the most elegant solution in my mind, but of course it's still not exactly elegant. But this is why time travel is, like, very science fiction. Actually, fun fact, there is an example of a very famous time travel paradox in Pokemon. In the second Pokemon movie, the one with Celebi, there is an actual an example of the bootstrap paradox. And the bootstrap paradox goes like this. I'll give the original version and then I'll explain how it shows up in that movie. So the original bootstrap paradox says, let's say that you were given a bootstrap by your father. That bootstrap has a lot of personal value to you because it was given to you by your father. It was like a boot of his that he used in the war, and he takes the bootstrap off and gives it to you to put on your boots or something, right? And then you go back in time to a time before your father went to the war, and you accidentally leave the bootstrap behind. And it turns out that that's the bootstrap he used to tie his boots, which he gave to you later. The question is, if your dad gave you the bootstrap, but you gave your dad the bootstrap, then where did the bootstrap come from? And the answer, the reason it's a paradox is that the bootstrap never had an origin, because if you got it from the person you gave it to, then who gave it to them? But you did. But then who gave it to you? Your dad did. But then who gave it to your dad? You did. But then who gave it to you? Your dad did. So on and so forth. So the universe created the bootstrap in order to fit this loop. It only exists because of the loop, and it only exists in the loop. Outside of the loop, it never was created or to begin with or destroyed. Just it's stuck in this loop. And in the second Pokemon movie, Ash Ketchum goes back in time with Celebi, meets a young Professor Oak, and he shows the young Professor Oak the Pokedex, which then inspires Professor Oak to make the Pokedex, which he then gives to Ash. According to actual Pokemon lore, the Pokedex is a bootstrap paradox, which is very cool. Time travel is such an interesting thing to explore scientifically and fictionally. Well, scientifically, we've got nothing. Fictionally, yes, I can agree. I love time travel stories that are tight. I hate time travel stories that aren't, with a few exceptions. I don't know if you're a Marvel person. I know a few people in the audience are. But, like, a lot of people have problems with Endgame, right? And I won't spoil it in case people still haven't seen it, because it's not something I would like to spoil. But Endgame had some time travel in it. And at the very beginning of the time travel section, they basically say more or less directly, they're like, hey, don't think about it. This is just how it works in this universe. And it's in character, of course. They say it to each other. But they basically tell the audience, hey, time travel's a tricky thing. It works, just trust us.
Time travel!
And I'm totally fine with that. A lot of people were pissed off at that. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, perfect. If you want to do that, that's excellent. I'm totally cool with that. If you in your time travel story are basically telling me, hey, just take this for granted, it works as we say it does, I'm just going to nod along and say, okay, sure. You just have to address it. It's way better than, just throwing it on the page and saying, oh, they'll understand how it works, and or to have, like, the arrogance to assume that you are able to make a time travel story with no problems, because you always have problems. It's very rare that time travel stories don't have issues. And even in Endgame, even according to their own logic, they still have issues. So, it's neat, though. I like time travel stories. It's better to say suspend your disbelief than to come up with pseudoscience. Yeah, exactly. And when in that movie, they literally have, there's a line, I can't remember the full line, but it's something like, literally what I was saying before, right? If you go into the past, then your future is no longer your future, it's now your present, and your past future is now your past. So you can't influence your future by being in your past. And they basically say, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either, but sure. And that's your cue as the audience member to just be like, all right, we're just going to suspend our disbelief and go with it. I thought it was a rather good way to handle that situation, personally. But a lot of people didn't like it, which I get. And honestly, the rest of that movie had so much other sloppy stuff that was the least of my worries. If I'm straight, I didn't like Endgame as much. I did at the time. I loved Endgame at the time. But looking back on it, it has some huge problems. But it's still fine, and I'm happy with what we got, and I had an amazing experience when I saw it. I saw it for the first time. It was my 4th year of college, and I went with a group of physics students and a bunch of professors, too. We had, I think, three faculty and, like, 8 students all went together to see it. It was so much fun. It was a great time. One of my fondest memories from college, actually, was going there. It was really cool to go see a film like that with your teachers. It was very cool.